So I'm pretty upset the last couple days. Don't really know why. It happens often. Sometimes I forget to take my medication for a few days. Sometimes no reason. Sometimes something sets me off and it just keeps building. It takes a few days to go away. My chest just gets really tight and everything is frustrating and annoying. So today I thought I'd talk about something that I really like. So that thing I'm going to talk about today is poetry. I don't know why I like poetry. Have for a long time. Did probably the most foolish thing and went to college and got a degree in poetry writing. I really have just always been in love with the power of words, like the ability to condense meaning. You read a novel, and I love reading novels too. Like you spend hours getting to know the characters and getting to live the situations. A good poem, I think, helps you do that same thing, but in a much shorter span of time. But I have some frustrations with poetry. The idea to share meaning in a short amount of time, to communicate these ideas. But the problem with communication is you have to have someone speaking and you have to have someone listening. The trouble with poetry is often there's a sender, but there's no receivers out there. No one's reading poetry. No one cares about what a poem says. Like, they seem to be so inaccessible so many times. When I was a kid, like, you'd go into the music store and there'd be like rows and rows and rows and rows of CDs, classical music, rock and roll and country and rap, whatever else. And you could go down like one aisle and there's nothing that I would want to listen to. Like, I would not call that music. You go down like the country aisle and no way am I like gonna pick up a CD and say, yes, this is it, this is the music, right? I'd go down the alternative aisle and I'd be looking for like Smashing Pumpkins or I don't know, Live or Nirvana or some other alternative band, right? And that was music, and that's what like sung to me. But the trouble with poetry is like you go to school and they assign poems, and there isn't this idea that there's so many different poems. As a lover of poetry, I don't know, maybe 1 in 10 poems that I read, and the other ones like I totally hate. But there's no good way to like differentiate the poems that I like from the ones that I hate. Right? There isn't these sections in the stores. No one really breaks it up that way. You don't go to school and you don't like read alternative poetry and not read the classical or country or whatever. And because that doesn't exist, because there isn't this division where we put different types of poetry, where you find a poem that you like and you can find other poems like that, people never really get into this idea of poetry. The medium has basically disappeared. Anyway, the biggest problem for me with poetry is that no one reads it. Right? I could write poems all day long and they won't communicate any meaning because no one's going to read my poems. All that being said, I'll end today with a reading of one of the poems that I wrote. The trouble with poetry is that you can't drive it down a 2-lane road. Just a road. Just a length of black asphalt winding through a real canyon, twisting and pulling alongside a cold stream in which fish swim. Right? Just a smooth shot of black pavement that threads its way through the fabric of mountains. Pulled and caressed daily by tires, today particularly by mine, as I drive just a little faster than is necessary to feel that force that curves create, as I make my way around another blind corner. Through a soft chicane, one hand white knuckle cliched on the steering wheel, the other running up the soft skin curve of your leg. Just a hand, just a leg.